This video is brought to you by Friday. Today, I'm going to share with you the 8 essential tips or first things I do with any new Mac. Now, we're going to be looking at settings, applications, as well as general tips to ultimately make your Mac more enjoyable to use and also make it perform better. As always, I will leave all the purchase links down in the description. Alright, so the first thing I do with any new Mac is jump right into the system preferences and improve the trackpad. As out of the box, there are definitely some settings and the way that Apple has set it up, I think the trackpad can be a lot better. So let's go ahead and improve it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is launch system preferences. And to find this, we're going to go to the top left-hand side of the screen. We see the Apple logo, and then we'll click on system preferences. And then once we're in that menu, we'll go ahead and select the trackpad, which you'll find in the lower right-hand side. And the first thing I like to do here is to increase the tracking speed. Now, by how much or little you may want to increase this will depend on how you use your computer. Though personally, I like to have it set a little bit faster as it allows me to work slightly more efficiently as I can move the trackpad more quickly across the screen. So my suggestion here is to speed this up in increments if you don't already have a specific speed that you're used to. But personally, I move mine just 2 clicks to the right, having it slightly more on the faster side. And then taking a look just above that, we have the options for secondary click. Now, first you're going to want to make sure that the little tick mark is selected. And then we have the option to, under this drop-down menu, select click in bottom right corner. This means to activate a right click, all you have to do is click on the bottom right-hand side of your trackpad. This is universally known as a right click, and I do not understand why it's not set up like this out of the box. As out of the box, you would have to click option on the keyboard and then click. This is 2 steps for a 1-step process, much easier to just right click with the trackpad on the bottom right corner. And then just beneath that, we have the option to enable tap to click. Now, of course, the Apple trackpad has a really good haptic feedback, but sometimes it's nice to also just tap the trackpad in order to register a click without having to fully press it. So I like to enable this too. Simply do this by checking the little tick box. Lastly, in this menu, we also have the option to change the click strength. Now, you can choose this to be either light or medium or firm, and as you click and drag, you'll find that it takes more or less pressure to click on the trackpad to register a click. Now, for the sake of efficiency, I like to have mine set to light, as again, it requires less force, allowing me to more quickly and easily click. Oh yes, and next I want to show you something really cool that I only found out about recently, and this is a pretty hidden feature. So what we're going to do is go back to the main menu of the System Preferences page. We will click on Accessibility, and then we will scroll down to where it says Pointer and Control, and we'll go into Trackpad Options. And then we have enabled dragging. So what we can go ahead and do is enable this, and we click on the 3-finger drag. And what this allows you to do is to actually click and drag a window around the screen by simply dragging with 3 fingers. Now this means you do not have to click. So I'm going to go ahead and press OK, and you can see I have the system preferences window here. I'm going to use 3 fingers on the trackpad, and I can then now move the window around super easily and smoothly right from the trackpad. The next thing I want to show you is a feature that I really love and I think is really underrated as very few people know about it, and that is called hot corners. Now, to activate this, we're going to stay in the System Preferences menu here, and then we'll go ahead and click on Desktop and Screensaver, and then under here we'll go to Screensaver. And then hidden in the bottom right corner, we have a little menu for hot corners. What hot corners allows you to do is essentially assign a task to a specific corner of your screen. So if, say, your trackpad reaches that corner of the screen, something will happen. So for example, I like to have mission control set in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. So anytime I take my cursor, move to the bottom left-hand side of the screen, you'll see mission control comes up and it will show me all of my open windows. Very easy. Now, of course, you can also do this by using a 3 or 4-finger swipe up on the trackpad, but it's just a little bit easier to have it always there in the corner. And just as useful, I think, is Quick Note. So if I go ahead and move my cursor to the bottom right-hand screen, a little notepad comes up, and this will also save whatever you have written down. So if, say, you need to quickly copy a link or take a quick note while you're watching something, this is really useful and will always be visible and easy to find back in the corner of the screen. One tip I do have is to not assign it to every corner. So for example, not the top left corner, as this is an area of the screen you'll probably access quite often to select menus and may occur or may lead to you accidentally moving your cursor to that corner of the screen and thus activating things unwillingly. So my suggestion with hot corners is to use the bottom left and bottom right hand corners of the screen. Before we get into apps and more, let me introduce you to Friday, one of the fastest growing writing AI assistants. Friday AI stands above the rest, not only in user experience, but in quality of results. Friday is also fast. It can produce up to 500 words in just a second, with more than 40 templates and 30 writing tones to choose from. Let me show you just how easy it is to create an article in Friday. So the first thing we're going to do is choose a template. Let's say we'll go with blog section writing, and then we're going to select a tone. So let's go with convincing, and then choose a topic. Let's say M2 MacBook Air. That seems appropriate for this video. And then under the keyword section, we'll give a couple of keywords to add to our article. So the first ones that come to mind are, let's say, portability, then we have design, and then performance. And then all you have to do is select generate AI output, and then within seconds, Friday is going to start writing an article and generating text just like magic. As a user, you can even create and share writing templates with others and get rewarded based on its success. In the upcoming update, Friday will even present prompts to help you write and craft logical and convincing content as you go. All of this while still being one of the most affordable writing AI assistants out there. Friday are also hosting Experience Friday AI. This is an event that encourages users to interact with Friday AI on their public Facebook group. Users provide feedback to the Friday team and get rewarded with memberships and cash prizes. This event will last for 1 month, so if you want to join, be sure to click the links in the description. And if you get Friday now and use code $10, you will get the Pro package for 1 month at just $9.99, normally $19.99. And this includes all of Friday's functions and services. So click the link in the description and don't miss out on a chance to join the writing revolution. A big thank you to Friday for supporting the channel. Now back to the Mac. So the new Macs come with some exceptionally great displays, and the new M2 MacBook Air is no exception to this. But let's go ahead and make the display even better. Back in System Preferences, the first thing we're going to do is click on Displays. And here we have the option to turn on and off auto brightness. Now there's a pro and a con with using auto brightness. Personally, I like to use auto brightness on devices like my phone, Apple Watch, or my iPad, but on the Mac, I actually turn it off. And here's why. I use my Mac as a content creator to create and edit videos and photos, and want my screen to be as consistent as possible in order for me to accurately gauge how bright or not bright my content is. So I want my brightness to always be consistent and typically set to max. So for that reason, I turn off auto brightness. If, however, you want to conserve battery life or want your screen to be a little bit less strenuous to look at, say late at night, it is good to use auto brightness for those type of occasions. So really, it will depend on what you're looking for or even what specific task you're doing on your Mac. And a similar thing can be said for True Tone, which you'll find just beneath the brightness toggle. Now, True Tone is great, as what it will do, it will slightly adjust the temperature of your Mac's display to match the lighting of your surrounding environment. So in most occasions, it will make it just a little bit warmer. Now, this again is great to make the display a little bit more pleasing to look at, again, especially late at night. But this does slightly alter the colors of your screen, so when you are editing videos or photos, do bear that in mind. And if you've seen any of my iPhone or iPad, even Apple Watch guides, you will know that in every guide, I suggest turning off most notifications, as so many, chances are you're not gonna want to see. So the same thing applies here to the Mac. What we're gonna do is in System Preferences, we will scroll here to where we find notifications and focus, and you can see we then have a whole list of different applications. Chances are all of them are going to want to send you notifications, which means your Mac is going to go off more often. You're going to have more distractions and more noises that ultimately aren't good for your Mac's battery life, as again, that will take more battery, but also for your own well-being. So my suggestion is to scroll through this list and manually select which things you do or don't want to send you notifications. For example, here we have Google Chrome. I don't need notifications from that, so I'm going to go ahead and just just disallow notifications, and as you can see, that will then be turned off. And my suggestion here is to do that with most, I would say roughly 80% of your apps. Next, I want to share with you some of my favorite and go-to apps that I download and install right away on any new Mac. So first, as a content creator, I edit videos every day, and my video editor of choice, as many of you will probably know, is Final Cut Pro. Now, there's a few reasons for this. First, I really like that you only have to pay for the application once, rather than having to pay monthly with a lot of its competitors, Adobe. And I really also like how efficient and how well optimized Final Cut is for the Mac. Yes, it does only run on Macs, but as a result, runs super smoothly and really takes full advantage of that Apple silicon, allowing you to render, export, and scrub through your timelines like in no other editor. And then for photo editing, while I may not like the fact that you do have to pay for this monthly, I do use Lightroom. And Lightroom is great because it does sync across all of my devices, so I can edit a photo on my MacBook and then take it to the iPad, with which I can use the Apple Pencil to make those more finer adjustments, which is something that I do for most thumbnails on my videos. I find the app to be really easy to use and also just work really well, again, across your devices. And again, I don't like that monthly cost, but it is relatively low. For research or writing out documents, I like to use Pages, as again, you get that iCloud drive, so it will sync to all of your devices. But then I also use Word, as this is of course compatible with both Windows and Mac, and is easiest if, say, you're working across different companies or organizations. For messaging, I think WhatsApp as well as Telegram both have really good apps for the Mac that sync effectively with your iPhone and will also allow you to send and receive messages right from your Mac without having to reach for your phone. For meetings, with many of us working from home, I think this has become a really big part of most of our days. And for this, I found myself using Microsoft Teams as well as Zoom on most occasions, both of which are free to use and have really stellar Mac apps. So you've probably noticed that a lot of this video is centered around using your Mac in a more efficient way. So with that in mind, we're now going to look at some essential gestures. The first of which is Mission Control. Now, if you don't already know, Mission Control allows you to quickly see all of your open windows at a glance and quickly switch between open apps. So to access this, of course, we can use hot corners like we set up earlier. So in this case, we're going to simply move the cursor to the bottom left-hand side of the screen, and that will quickly bring up Mission Control. An alternative way to do this, however, or if you do not have hot corners set up, is to use a 3-finger swipe up on the trackpad. So as you can see, if I use 3 fingers to swipe up, you'll see that instantly brings up Mission Control, allowing me to quickly switch between my open apps. And then while we're in Mission Control, you can actually take the trackpad and bring this up to the screen, and you can see we have the option to move to a new desktop or add different desktops. Now, this is a really useful feature. I love separating my apps. So for example, my work from the more fun apps that I'm using. So for example, here in the main page, I will have, or the main desktop, I will have Lightroom open, but then so let's say I'm listening to some music in the next desktop, so I can just take my music app, click and drag it over, and let's go ahead and do the same with the Safari window. And then to click into a desktop, simply click on one of the open apps. And now to quickly switch between your desktops, you can of course go back to Mission Control and then select the second desktop, but a much faster way to do this is to take 3 fingers and simply swipe to the left or right on the trackpad to cycle through your desktops. I love using this feature, and I think this is really one of the best ways to manage your windows on a Mac. And what better way to follow up essential gestures with essential keyboard shortcuts? So first, we're going to look at a couple of basic ones here, and that is to open up Spotlight. Now, if you don't already know, Spotlight allows you to search for any file or anything on your Mac. Now, you can access this by clicking on the magnifying glass that you'll have in the menu bar, but a more fast way to do this is to use the keyboard shortcut, for which you press and hold Command, and then press the spacebar once, and you can see the Spotlight search bar will then appear, allowing you to quickly type in anything and open a file on your Mac. Next, you probably know how to quit an app, and that is to click on the application name and then quit the app like so. But a more fast way to do this is to use a keyboard shortcut, Command Q, Q for quit. So we'll go ahead and press that once. And as you can see, we've just quit Lightroom. Now, if you have, say, multiple windows open of the same application, let's go to the Safari window here, and let's open up a couple more. So you can see we have 3 here. And let's say I want to close just one of them. Of course, I can click on the little red ball in the top left-hand corner, or I can press Command W to quickly just close that one window. And the last keyboard shortcut that I want to share with you is probably my favorite and the one that I end up using most, and that is Command Tab. So to switch between your open apps, you can of course click on the app in the dock. So let's say we go from Lightroom back to Music and then back to Lightroom. But a much quicker way to do this is to see all of your open apps by press and holding Command and then press Tab once. And as you can see, this will bring up a menu, show you all of your open apps, and then you can simply tap on the tab icon to cycle between them and also quickly switch to another. So let's say we're in Lightroom now, and then we'll go select Music here, let go of the Command button, and then we'll then instantly switch back to Music. And then to quickly switch between your two most recent apps, all you have to do is tap quickly the Command and Tab button. And as you can see, we're now quickly cycling right through and between the Lightroom app as well as Music. This is great if you want to quickly switch between two apps without wasting any time. Another useful feature on the Mac is to take a screenshot. Now there are two ways of doing this, and the first is to take a full screen screenshot. And for this, you want to press Command-Shift-3. And as you can see, we'll then get a preview of the screenshot here in the bottom right-hand corner, and these will all be stored on your desktop. But what if, say, you want to take a screenshot of a specific portion of the screen? Well, to do this, we're going to press Command, Shift, and then 4. As you can see, the cursor will then change into sort of an X-shaped arrow or a plus sign, which will then allow you to click and drag and then select a specific area of the screen. Alternatively, if you press Command-Shift-4 and then press spacebar, you can actually select a specific area of the screen. So let's say here I can choose this window only, I can choose a menu bar, or even the dock. So as you can see, all of the screenshots that we just took will now appear on the desktop, but it's already looking just a little bit cluttered. So a great way to organize your desktop is with a feature called Stacks. Now this is something that Apple announced a few years ago, but it's something I instantly apply to any new Mac. So to activate this, we're simply going to right click on the desktop here, and then we'll select Use Stacks. And then as you can see, it will group all of the screenshots into one stack, as these are all the same file type. And then we can click on the stack to expand it. So then we can say find a specific screenshot that we're looking for. And then to close the stack, we'll just press a little arrow on the top. Trust me, this is going to save you a lot of headache when looking for one file on the desktop. Not to mention, it makes your desktop much cleaner and easier to enjoy your desktop picture. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If there's any tips that I haven't mentioned that you may have, please leave them down below, as I'd love to read them. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you haven't seen them already, I highly recommend watching my M2 MacBook Air review, as well as my M2 MacBook Air versus M1 Pro MacBook Pro comparison video for those that may be deciding between these two great machines. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.